Here's a reality almost nobody admits. Success isn't about working harder, being smarter, or catching a lucky break. It doesn't matter if you're hustling in Cape Town, building dreams in Delhi, or grinding in Chicago. What truly holds you back is invisible. It's a way of thinking, a mental pattern so powerful that when you unlock it, your whole world shifts. This shift, it's surprisingly simple, yet it changes everything you believed about winning in life and business. If you're ready to break through, keep watching. The real game changer is just ahead. If you want to rewrite your story, hit like button and stay tuned. The secret's coming. You're up early, you're grinding late, you're sacrificing comfort, time, sleep, all in the name of growth. You're doing what they told you to do. Show up, stay consistent, be patient, trust the process. Maybe you're building something from scratch. Or maybe you're just trying to prove to yourself or the world that you're capable of more. You've pushed past fear, you've learned the tactics, you've seen the success stories and thought, if they can do it, I can too. But despite everything, the long hours, the focus, the personal growth, your breakthrough still feels like it's hiding behind glass. You watch people no smarter than you, no more disciplined, no more talented, land opportunities, launch businesses, make noise, go viral, get results. And deep down, you start wondering, what am I missing? At first, it's just a whisper, but over time it grows louder. That internal voice starts planting seeds. Maybe you're not built for this. Maybe you're trying to write a story that doesn't belong to you. Maybe success just skips people like you. And that thought, that's where it begins. The spiral. You stop applying for that opportunity. You don't hit publish. You wait a little longer before you start. You shrink just a bit. Not because you're lazy, not because you don't care, but because doubt has quietly moved in. This is what no one tells you. It's not your talent. It's not your timing. It's not your tools. It's your mindset. There's a mental switch, and when it's off, even the best advice feels heavy. Even the right moves feel risky. Even progress feels pointless. This is the fixed mindset, and it's dangerous, not because it screams, but because it whispers just loud enough to slow you down. Don't embarrass yourself. You've failed before. You're too late to the game. And the longer you listen, the more you believe it. And the thing is, this isn't just you. This mindset trap, it has a passport. It's global. It shows up in young creators in Manila, afraid to press record. Aspiring founders in Nairobi, doubting their worth. Freelancers in Berlin, silently comparing themselves to strangers on LinkedIn. Parents in Mumbai trying to dream bigger, but afraid to fail in front of their families. Dreamers in Los Angeles, stuck in traffic with a fire in their heart and fear in their head. It's everywhere. From Jakarta to Johannesburg, from Toronto to Tokyo, from Sydney to Sao Paulo, all over the world, people who could, don't. Not because they're not talented, but because no one ever told them this. Success doesn't begin with action, it begins with belief. If you've felt this invisible wall, if you've ever blamed yourself for feeling stuck, if you've ever thought, maybe I'm not meant for this, stay with me, because this next part, it's where things started to change for me, not overnight, not in some movie moment breakthrough, but through one subtle mindset shift, one that turned my worst doubts into fuel. Let me slow down and get personal with you for a moment, because this isn't just theory, this isn't just mindset talk. This was my life. There was a season, not years ago, not in some distant past, where I hit a wall, a real one. I was working hard, doing all the right things, putting in the hours, sacrificing sleep, saying no to distractions. But nothing was moving. Every project I tried either stalled, flopped, or quietly disappeared. I'd get excited, build something up, and then silence. No traction, no support, no breakthrough. And the worst part? It wasn't just external failure, it was internal collapse. I started asking myself the questions nobody wants to admit they're asking. Maybe I'm just not built for this. Maybe I'm the problem. Maybe all those voices were right. Maybe I am dreaming too big. I remember lying awake at night, watching people I started with blow up, launch, grow, win. And I'd scroll and think, what do they have that I don't? It wasn't jealousy. It was confusion, frustration, and if I'm honest, pain. Because deep down, I felt like I was showing up fully, but being ignored by life. And it started getting heavy, heavy to try, heavy to hope, heavy to keep believing in a version of myself I hadn't seen yet. I wasn't lazy, I wasn't ungrateful, I was just tired. Tired of failing quietly, tired of clapping for others while silently grieving my own potential. And then, one day, in the middle of another almost made it moment, I stopped and asked myself something I'd never dared to ask before. What if it's not my circumstances that are broken? What if it's not that I'm not capable? What if the problem is how I see myself? What if I've been dragging an old version of me into a future that needs a new mindset? That question, it cracked something open. I started noticing how I'd shrink when opportunity came, how I'd play small even when I knew I could lead, how I'd prepare like crazy, but still doubt myself when it mattered most. And I realized it wasn't my work ethic holding me back. It wasn't my skill. It wasn't even my network. It was my belief. My internal ceiling was lower than my external potential. So I started shifting, not overnight, not all at once, but moment by moment, thought by thought. I stopped assuming others were better. I started talking to myself the way I'd talk to a friend I believed in. I started showing up like someone who belonged, even when I was scared, even when I had no proof. And slowly, that internal change started reflecting externally. I started getting invited into rooms I once thought were above me. I started executing with more clarity, less hesitation. I started seeing results, not because life got easier, but because I stopped holding myself hostage to an old narrative. That shift didn't just change my goals, it changed me. And here's why I'm telling you this, because maybe you're where I was. Maybe your talent isn't the issue. Maybe your strategy is fine. Maybe your biggest enemy is the old story you keep replaying in your head. So if you're still with me, if any part of this feels uncomfortably familiar, let this be your interruption, because you're not broken, you're not behind, you're not disqualified. You're just operating with a mindset that was never designed for where you're going. And the moment you realize that, the moment you take that personally, everything can change. Your brain isn't a finished product. It's not fixed, and it's definitely not fragile. It's more like a supercomputer, incredibly powerful, but only as effective as the belief systems and input you give it. And most people, they're running outdated mental software, full of self-doubt, fear of failure, and invisible limits they never chose. But here's the truth. Your mind is rewritable. And that's what a growth mindset is really about. The belief that you can learn, adapt, evolve, and become more than the version of you that started. Most people are taught that failure means stop, that when something doesn't work, it means you're not meant for it. But failure isn't the finish line. It's feedback. It's not a wall, it's a signal. It's saying, this strategy, not quite. Adjust, learn, try again. And in business, this mindset isn't optional. It's your edge, because markets shift, clients change, competitors move in. And if your mindset isn't flexible, you break. But if you believe you can grow through it all, you bend, you pivot, you evolve, and you win. Whether you're pitching to investors in London, building a startup from scratch in Nairobi, coding late nights in Jakarta, or freelancing from a tiny cafe in Mexico City, this belief travels with you. I don't have to be the best, I just have to be willing to grow. Single shift, It changes everything. It's the difference between stuck and scaling, between quitting and compounding, between burnout and breakthrough. Now let's talk about the people you admire, the top performers, the founders, the creators. You know what they have in common? They fail too. The difference is they don't take it personally. They don't say, "I suck." They say, "Interesting, that didn't work. Let's refine." That's what mastery looks like. Not perfection, but iteration. Not talent, but resilience. They're not lucky. They're just relentless in learning. And they understand something most people don't. You don't grow in the spotlight. You grow in the shadows, when no one's clapping, no one's watching, and it's just you versus the voice in your head telling you to quit. And that's the thing. You don't need to be born talented. You don't need all the answers. You just need one decision. To bet on your ability to figure things out, to show up when it's not working, to speak when you feel invisible, to try again even after you've been burned. Because here's the real secret. It's not your IQ, not your tools, not even your timing. It's your thinking. The way you process progress, the way you define setbacks, the way you talk to yourself when no one's around. If you shift that, if you flip that internal switch from doubt to possibility, everything else follows. You stop playing small. You stop waiting for permission. You start moving like the future is still yours to build, because it is. So stay with me, because what I'm about to share next is the shift that flipped that switch for me. It wasn't a tactic, it wasn't a course. It was a mental unlock, and once I saw it, I couldn't unsee it. That mindset shift changed everything. It started a ripple effect in my work, my self-belief, and my ability to lead. And now, I'm going to show you how to access it too. This is where transformation begins. Let's go. Now let's zoom out, because this next shift, it rewired how I approach everything. See, most of us are taught to treat our brains like machines. You're either good at something or you're not. You either have it or you don't. But that's a lie. Your brain isn't a fixed machine. It's more like a supercomputer, powerful, dynamic, adaptable, but waiting on you to install the right software. That software, it's your mindset, more specifically, your growth mindset. And here's what that means. It's not about pretending everything is perfect. It's about believing that even when things aren't, you can get better, that you can learn, you can evolve, you can grow. Failures, they're no longer verdicts. They become feedback, signals, data points. They don't say, "You're not good enough." They say, "Something here didn't work. Time to adjust." That shift alone changes the game. Let's bring it down to real life. If you're building a startup in Lagos, if you're freelancing in Dhaka, if you're pitching investors in London, or creating content in Manila, this mindset is your edge. Because when markets shift, when algorithms change, when the thing that used to work suddenly doesn't, the fixed mindset panics, it freezes, it gives up. But the growth mindset, it adapts, it iterates, it keeps showing up. That's why some people bounce back after rejection, while others never recover. It's not about talent. It's about how they interpret failure. Think about the top performers across industries, from entrepreneurs to artists to athletes. What sets them apart isn't just skill, it's their relationship with difficulty. They don't see setbacks as proof they're unworthy. They see them as part of the process. They don't stop when it gets hard. That's exactly when they double down. You'll hear phrases like, "It's not failure, it's data. Every loss teaches me something. Obstacles show me what needs to be upgraded." That's not motivational fluff. That's mental engineering. That's the foundation of long-term success, especially in uncertain, fast-changing environments. Here's the raw truth. Talent alone doesn't win. Ideas don't guarantee success. You know what does? Relentless learning, deep resilience, daily evolution. It's the founders who analyze what went wrong and pivot fast. It's the creators who post consistently and refine with every piece. It's the professionals who ask, "What can I learn from this?" Not just, "Why me?" And I want you to hear this clearly. You are not stuck. You are not behind. You are not too late, too early, or too anything. You might just be running old software. And it's time for an upgrade, so if you failed 10 times, good. You've got data. If nobody's believed in you yet, even better. You'll learn to build from the inside out. Because once you unlock a growth mindset, you don't fear change. You become change. And in just a second, I'm going to walk you through the practical frameworks that help me rewire my mindset, build momentum, and finally create traction where there used to be noise. But before we go there, take a breath. Because if you're still watching, it means you're hungry for more. And the next part, it's going to blow your mind because it's the exact shift that flipped the switch for me. And it just might do the same for you. And now, it's your turn. If you've made it this far, I know something about you. You're not just watching for inspiration. You're here because you feel it, that pull for more. You're ready to grow, to move, to shift. So let me ask you this. What's one challenge you're going to face head-on today? Not someday, today. Drop it in the comments. Big or small, every step forward breaks the pattern of staying stuck. If this message hit home, do one more thing. Like, subscribe. Share it with someone out there grinding in silence. Someone who just needs to hear, you're not broken. You're just one shift away. Here on the Business Vault, we don't do hype. We do real growth, real strategy, and real wins from the inside out. And in the next episode, I'm going deeper. The exact mental rewiring that helped me go from doubting everything to building momentum, confidence, and a business that finally worked. No fluff, just truth. You in? Then I'll see you in the next one. Only here on the Business Vault. Stay inspired, stay curious.